Hello, hello. Hey, Kevin. So it is Thursday. We don't normally stream on Thursday. That was not what I meant to type. But what are we going to do today? What are we going to do today? I have to finish the cheat menu. Oh, the playtest version on Steam was approved. So now we have the playtest app. What happens when you go to... Okay, good. It doesn't show it yet. Yeah, so I got to do something there. And then... Hmm. All right, let's... Actually, you know what? Let's put that Thursday afternoon. Thursday morning. So let's finish this stuff up. And then, I don't know, just figure it out. So Adam is finishing up the cheats menu for playtesters and then doing something. Doesn't know what yet. Today we'll only have a morning stream. And let's get the videos. There were a couple of new YouTube videos recently. New Skeleseller videos recently. Okay, that was longer than I thought. So let's get to work. Oh, also I got to look at, yeah, today is a busy day. And then what else do we have? I think I should maybe start working on bosses or the reusing areas thing. So much to do. Part of me wonders too, we're seeing more and more reviews that are something like a demo is fun, wondering how the release version will be. That makes me think, do we have like way more work than I think just to get the content to be good? Do we need more buildings or something in Skeleseller? And then the final aspect of this, I mentioned reviews, but I haven't actually been able to see the new reviews yet. We're up to 23. And if I just look at recent, I thought there was a new one yesterday. Date range, show graph. The 25th, yeah, there should be new ones on the 25th. This is the 24th. It's weird. Maybe it's a time zone thing for Steam. But yeah, clicking this doesn't actually do anything. Or maybe it's a language thing too. I'm not sure. Hey, Sarah. It's going well. Been pretty productive lately. All right, so remaining things to think about. We probably want to allow playtesters to skip the tutorial. We probably need to explain how to lower the speed. A tooltip would be fine. Yeah, I think that should be easy to do. Where's the speed button? Is this already not working? Sometimes. Okay, here it is. Yeah, I think we just add a tooltip on parent to this. Tooltip on parent. Set tooltip for node with tooltip on parent. Add to node. Here it is. Tooltip on parent. Add to node. So this is going to be on the increase speed button. Doesn't the town have a town tooltip? Yeah. Right click to reset it to 1. Cool. That's it. This is that new Steam demo, separate page, separate view reviews thing. The thing that I just showed, yeah, that was. Hey, Acker1. First time chat, already subscriber. Welcome in. All right, so all we should see here is when I open up the cheats menu. Yeah, nice. Increase game speed, right click to reset it to 1. I don't think any of these things are necessarily gonna help. Maybe on the signs button we could say like it's gonna reset. Game UI looks so good. The title screen. I like this. But hey, back, I hate pre-technic. Guess I won't get to 42 months this time. Are you not gonna sub again? Is that it? You're like, well, if it was in 2 days, yeah. But no, I'm not going to. Add tooltip to the debug speed button. This should make it easier for playtesters to know how to reset the speed. This stuff we don't need. And this we just need to do this for. Why did so much change here? Oh. I split this up already. Oh, so then this is more than I... Okay, fine. Add playtester cheats. Playtest. Yeah. These are different from the debug menu cheats in that we know all of these should work. I also added a tooltip to the debug speed button to make it easier for playtesters to know how to reset the speed. Oops. Yeah. Option differs depending on whether you have one thing to fix or multiple things to fix. Okay, so that's done. I'm kind of wondering, I'm going to put this in the backlog. I wonder if we should always show the hire adventurer button even when you have to beat the next elite. It would probably clear up some confusion. Hey Silling, hey Mars, hey Sockton. A 6-month package I got before the Twitch price increase and currently don't have creator money allocated to you. Sorry. No, that's totally fine. Yeah, I don't want you to feel bad about that. I was making a joke and I hope it was just taken as a joke. In fact, I myself was thinking September is right around the corner. So I resubbed to someone for 3 months, knowing that that'll put us into September. And we know why Twitch on mobile is so delayed. What could the limitation possibly be? I don't know, but every once in a while, I just hit pause and play, and it catches up. So if you do need to fix it, that's the easiest way to fix it. Am I going to Godot Fest? I don't even think it's anywhere close by. The last one was in Boston, right? Yeah, Munich. I'm not going to Godot Fest. I will say this. If it were in Seattle, I would probably try to go. I might even go so far as to go to Portland. But I think outside of that, I don't like conventions or events or festivals, or I am just an unfun person and I don't want to be around more people. So yeah, generally not a good fit for me. I saw it was 11 and thought I missed 30 minutes. Came and saw live for 5 minutes. Yeah, I was busy before this, and I said yesterday at the end of the stream I'd probably be a little late to today's stream. Now with that said, my schedule doesn't even have this on there. I'm doing Tuesday and Thursday now just to see where this takes me, but I'm doing it more as a way of kickstarting my day so that then I can be more productive in the afternoon, hopefully. And yeah, so this probably won't be for as long. Now you get to choose your sub gift discounts yourself. Oh, you think that's why they did it? Huh. No, I'm not sure. That's a reasonable guess, though. All right, probably want to allow playtesters to skip the tutorial. This is the only thing that remains from an implementation perspective, I think. Let's just try it. Let's see what happens. Let me try to put myself in the shoes of a player or a playtester. So debug would be false and playtest would be true. And then we run this. So I'm going to go to the title screen. I don't think that's going to bother playtesters because they're not going to be playing this so often that they're like, let's skip even this thing. So they'll click new game. It will try showing them the intro, which I think is fine. Again, they'll just click skip. But then this stuff, I wonder if we should have a button at the upper right or something that says debug skip tutorial and puts you in the right state. And then I wonder how hard it would be to put you in the right state. Because it's not that hard to go through these things, and you can also increase the game speed. I think for now, I'm just not going to do anything about this. Yeah, because that's it. Tutorial is now done. So as long as you speed it up by 8 times, it should take you maybe 10 seconds. Yeah, I don't think that's too bad. Okay, then yeah, let's get ready to check this stuff in. So cheat menu has been coded. This has been fixed. test the baseline too of having debug off. Sure, let's do that. So if I turn both of those things off, we should have no cheats whatsoever. This will be a little bit harder to test because, well, it's easy enough to test that we have cheats or not. But anything beyond there, I don't think we did anything else that's specific to this. Yeah, I can't open the cheats menu, so we can't speed this up. Otherwise, the game's going to be the same. The only way that we'd be able to tell there's a difference between the demo and the release version right now is the adventures that are offered to you. And that only happens after you've beaten 2 bosses. So even that we can't really do anything about yet. But yeah, it looks good. So let's revert this. And yeah, go check this in. Oh, and then we can actually test the playtest key stuff. Oh, in fact, I could probably give myself a playtest key. I don't know if I should do that now. I should probably do that this afternoon. Yeah. Finish these tasks. They're best done off stream. But yeah, the top priority is marketing and then PRs. These can wait for Friday. This is the next top priority. So these are the top 3 things, top priorities. There's so much to do. Finish my 3D platformer course. I have one more course I want to do, and then going to start on my Metroidvania 3D top-down project. 3D top-down? What does that look like? Oh, I see. So gameplay is still in, I guess it doesn't have to be in 2 dimensions, but it's top-down. I guess there's not too much you can move up and down. Yeah, Mars, that sounds cool. I will say this. Whenever I see the word Metroidvania now, I always think you need to do something amazing to stand out. Because a Metroidvania is technically just like a platformer with backtracking. And platformer already puts you in that bucket of like, all right, what are you doing that's different? And then backtracking, I think, I never really considered this a whole lot, but game design has warped what backtracking means, or what good backtracking means. Because in the old days, backtracking would just be like, oh, there's a door and I can't access it. I'll need to come back to this later. That's not really fun. So there's got to be a way to make it a little bit better. Sometimes like quick traveling back there can make it more fun. There need to be maybe hints on where you should go. Maybe the world changes significantly enough where it feels like backtracking is wildly different. But those are the kinds of things. I think Link's Awakening Remake, yeah, gotcha. 35-second difference, wow. It's not going to do so hot on Steam. It might. I just think it's got to really stand out. There are other genres where I don't think you need to stand out as much, although I think in general you need to with games. But platformer is one of the ones where it's like so many people work on them. I wonder if card games are going to get to that point too. I sort of feel like if you're a game developer and you want to do well, a lot of people will just see what are the well-worn tracks through game development. So like farming game, card game, roguelike game, those sorts of things. And that way you allow the genre to boost you up a bit, but then you have to fight more games. Hey, Koamid. Is backtracking? Did you mean to type more than that? Because I don't think I know how to interpret just those 2 words right now. All right, so cheat menu is coded. Let's go merge this. Add cheat menu for playtesters. Is that all we did? Oh, there's no way to see. Oh, there it is. Consolidated feature flags. The cheats menu stuff changed. There was some refactoring here. Anything else? I think that was pretty much it. Yeah, that was it. The refactoring is what took so long. Okay, let's write that down. So I refactored a bunch of code, of debug code, out of town.cs. We also have a centralized feature flags class now. And finally, why did it make like 1,000,000 hyphens? Did you see that? What is this? Is this AI? Why would it do that? I press enter and it types out like 400 hyphens. Okay. Yeah, playtesters have access to 5 cheats, which I think I closed the thing. I don't even know if it's 5 cheats. Is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Is it backtracking like a thing when progress gets reset? Oh, sorry. Backtracking is like, let's say you have a bombable wall in Zelda, but you don't have bombs yet. So you remember, oh, there's a wall with a crack. I should come back to that later. So then once you get bombs, you go back, you're backtracking to that point, and then you can bomb the wall and make some progress there. And typically games like Metroid and Castlevania have done this such that the genre is almost called Metroidvania at this point. So like in Super Metroid, for example, you had different doors. You needed either super missiles or power bombs, and you couldn't access them otherwise. You needed like high jump or the gravity suit or something to access certain things. And in Castlevania, at least the later games, I guess, like Symphony of the Night, you get different movement abilities. This is where I draw the line. It's pretty good, Mac. Hey, and hey, Shane. Some genres where I don't care about new features and actually just more game. Arkham City games. You could just keep making more of them, I'd be happy. You had to revisit areas of the map you've already been through. Yeah. And generally revisit them because something else has changed, either you or the map. All right, I'm going to merge this. Oh, and then probably write that this is part of this. Part of that. Done. Oh, I should have run these things. Ugh. I find it funny that I ignored that on my to-do list because of the ordering that I had, but let's run it now. It won't take long. And hopefully it doesn't find anything, but it's probably going to. And then whatever, we'll just make a new commit. So I got to do that, and I got to do this. Whoops. Oh, that was loud. All right, we're just waiting. Waiting for 2 progress bars. There's one. There's the other one. Okay, so did it change anything? It did. All right, fine. Add missing UID file. Well, that should have been part of the branch. But we've done this, we've done this, we've done all of these. We've done this. Make sure Battle Simulator works. Make sure the release version of the game doesn't have the cheats menu accessible. I think that stuff should be fine. Finishing release tool, balancing adventurers, posting to Discord. Yeah, let's try the Battle Simulator. Terms may be used wrong in some situations. It might be. It might be slightly warped in some cases. But yeah, in general, I take it to mean going back to old locations. And the games that did that aren't Metroid or Castlevania games, things like even Banjo-Kazooie or Banjo-Tooie, Hollow Knight, those sorts of games. Okay, please tell me this is working. We got a couple of... Uh-oh, that doesn't sound good. That definitely doesn't sound good. And we lost every battle? What? Oh, because we're fighting in the deep forest? That doesn't make any sense either. Because they're level 4, maybe? And because they have... Huh. Interesting, though. All right, we got to copy this. We got to figure out what's broken here. Spirit increase power. Spirit dog increase power. Line number 52. Whoops. I mean to write that there. Get a target. Get allies where the ally is not the summoner. What failed here? Must be non-negative and less than the size of the collection. Oh, there is no ally that's not the summoner? How did I not? How did I not hit this error before? This looks wrong, but I don't know how I couldn't have tested this. Wow, how fortuitous. I was just making sure the battle simulator worked, but it happened to pick a configuration that was broken. Thankfully, we have all the information we need right here. So we need to get the spirit caller with what exactly? Dog spirit and spirit command. What does spirit command do? Your spirits use their abilities more frequently. Okay, that shouldn't really matter. So it should just be this. Get an ally where the ally's not the summoner. Why wouldn't it have this snake? Oh, I think the battle simulator is broken. No, wait, no, it's not that. Oh, I know what I did. I know what I did. I made an assumption here. Okay, so here's how the spirit caller works. It can have up to 4 spirits, and it has a minimum of 1. The snake. You always have to have the snake. So I guess it has the snake and up to 3 other spirits. So the dog spirit will buff an ally, but not the summoner. And then all spirits are immune to damage until the summoner dies. So I forgot that how these two things interact with each other. I thought, okay, you have a snake to start with, so the dog can always buff the snake. And it'll always be there, but it won't always be there. If the spirit caller dies and then the snake dies first, then the dog will try buffing something that doesn't exist. And we just never hit this scenario for me to see that happen. Yeah, so if I put this into a battle against something it's going to lose at, let's go to this. It might actually win here, I'm not sure. So as long as the spirit caller dies and then the snake dies first, and then the dog tries using its ability, it's going to fail. But these die so fast, and they died within like a 10th of a second. But even if they hadn't, that wasn't long enough for the dog to use its ability. Oh, wait, it's even more complicated than that, isn't it? It doesn't matter. I'm going to fix it anyway. All right, so all we need to do here is this. We get this as a list. So this is var allies equals that. Come on, type this thing out for me. There. Okay, so this is the list. And then we say if allies.count is equal to 0, then return. So now we know this is not a question mark. This is just the target, and it has to exist. And that's it. That's how we fix it. Easy. I wonder if we had that problem anywhere else. Let's take a look. It's anywhere that we potentially get allies. So far, none. So maybe this one? This says first to default. That's fine. Although, why do we do this? Because we're ordering. Okay, that's fine. Still fine. We only have 3 more. Yeah, they're all fine. Okay. So we don't have that problem anywhere else. Well, that was a good thing to do. Fix spirit dog ability. If the summoner... If the dog was alone in battle and tried using its ability, it would fail. I fixed that. Okay. All right, so that's done. And then this we wrote down for the other thing. All right, so now all we need to do is fill out this section of the document. So how to cheat. Press Q or K on your keyboard to open the cheats menu. Then let's take a picture of that. So feature flags and run. There's load game. I just want to take a picture of the menu. What's going on? What just happened? I don't know what just happened. That was weird. Take another picture of that. press Q or K to open this. Shrink this a little bit. Shrink this. Keep in mind that these cheats can potentially create bugs or mask issues. For example, pacing issues will be difficult to discover if you're constantly playing at 8x speed. Yeah. And then save file editing. Maybe I should write this here. Keep in mind we've exposed various ways of cheating for playtesters so that you don't have to keep setting up scenarios manually. Keep in mind that any cheating can potentially create bugs or mask issues. Examples. What's an example of creating a bug? I don't think we need examples. So it's worth mentioning in bug reports if you use cheats. All right, so press Q or K to open the cheats menu and then click one of the, I guess, to open or close. Click one of the buttons to cheat. And modifying your save file. Pause the game. Click the version number at the bottom left. From the title screen or the pause screen, click the version number at the bottom left to open your save file location. I don't think it goes directly to the save file. Yeah, then open save data. Open save data / save.json and edit stuff as you please. There is no validation done to make sure. I'll just say there is almost no validation done on this, so be very careful. For example, you can probably cheat in 10 rogues, but then I doubt the game will work. And we don't consider that to be a bug. Warning, you probably shouldn't do this unless you're absolutely sure about what you're doing. Okay. And then we need to say something about reporting logs. That would be in Discord though. So let's go to Discord, go over to here, go to playtest issues. And then how do we edit the... Here it is. How do we edit this? I don't know how to edit this. There we go. Okay. Game logs. Find this by clicking the version number at the bottom left of the title screen or the pause screen. Then go to logs. Save, done. How to find game logs. Click the logs folder. Okay, so is there anything here that's not here? Or sorry, is there anything that needs to be here in this document that isn't? So you want to help test Skeleseller. Thank you. This document covers everything you need to know. Requirements. Only talk about playtest details in the playtesting section. Let's make this bold. On Discord, do not share the playtest copy of Skeleseller. Getting the game, you must perform all of these steps. Join the Skeleseller Discord. DM me, asking to join the playtest. At that point, I'll send you a Steam key. And I'll add you to the tester's role. This will give you access to the playtesting section. Please do not discuss the playtest anywhere else. Yeah, and let's make that bold too. Your responsibilities. Test at your leisure. You're not required to play for any particular amount of time. Just do what you can. Report anything unusual that you find. Report in playtest issues. Anything unusual that you find. Something doesn't need to be... Maybe something you were confused about or something that wasn't fun for you. As for what to test, do whatever you like. Please read the playtest news section on Discord for any updates or focus points. The logs can point to specific exceptions or, I guess, errors that occur. And are usually helpful when filing bugs. How to cheat. And then, yeah, any feedback, meta feedback. If you want additional features, cheats, etc., feel free to ask for them in playtest discussion. How do we copy a link to this channel there? Playtest discussion. Okay, cool. I think that's it. So this document is still pretty short. Yeah. That's all done. That's done. Whew. Fill out the journal. I'm not done streaming. I just want to write down what we did. Finished playtester cheats. Valve approved the playtest app on Steam. By the way, new wish list from yesterday was like 102 or something. Yesterday, 104 additions. So we are up to 2564. It's pretty good. We had 120 and then 104. Those some like record days. In one day, yeah. So I finally started marketing the game. It turns out that's pretty valuable. We got 3 YouTubers so far who've made videos, and then one other one who said they will make a video at some point. The 2 latest ones are in the Today command. Thanks, Murph, and hey, Palman, and Kevin. Or wait, Kevin was already here. I retract one hey from Kevin. Yeah, and by the way, to give a frame of reference, so 120, 104, the Twitch front page, I was on the front page for 8 hours streaming Skeleseller, and I got 100 wish lists. Now, I mentioned in a YouTube comment, this is not apples to apples. I don't remember what else I was doing that day, but I think there was some development. The game wasn't like really the focus point, I guess. It was just a general exposure day. And then what's the last thing? It's not a dedicated audience. So Twitch front page is very different from, let's say, a variety gaming streamer. People who watch that variety gaming streamer are probably gonna be like, oh, there's a cool game I want to play. Whereas people who are on the front page are like, what's this person doing? Maybe they're looking for a cool game to watch, not to play. Make a private YouTube playlist and add all the videos. I was wondering if I should do that, like just compile all the videos, but then I thought, you know what? It's pretty much the same as just searching for Skeleseller on YouTube. Oh, hey, there's the episode 2 of this. I didn't see this. I'll have to watch that. Watch episode 2. How long was their episode 2? 40 minutes? Okay. Why don't you switch to Linux? I've always found this question a little bit strange. But the general answer, instead of me just saying I find it strange, is I'm happy with macOS. in terms of efficiency, in terms of, or like development efficiency, in terms of apps that I use, in terms of just the general workflow. Hey, Matt. Like the way I kind of would counter this is like, why should I switch to Linux? But that might not be the intention of your question. Maybe it's not to convince me. Maybe it's purely just a like, why did you choose Mac? Okay, so this stuff's working. All right, so the release tool, posting to Discord, that stuff's already done. We need to balance adventures at some point. I kind of want to release the unbalanced version just for people to kind of mess around with, but I would need to be very clear that I put no effort into balancing this. All right, it might be worth doing this stuff today. Figure out the plan for July and August such that we can actually launch in September. It's because he's an Apple fanboy. Am I a game dev? Yeah, I'm a game dev. All right, the reusing areas on the map. We had some of this written down already. Where's that? Here. I guess I'll delete this. AI emails. Watch this video. I did this. Okay. Yeah, I think it's worth figuring this out. So as I've mentioned before, I think marketing is a top priority. And I think we need to do something different every week for this. So I'm going to spend most of this afternoon just focusing on the marketing stuff. I want to reach out to more YouTubers. I want to improve the Steam page. We have GIFs on here that are a little bit pixelated, dithered, and I think they can be improved. And then I wonder if we should publish a new demo version. I don't think there's anything all that major people have talked about. Battle panel layout, no. And I added the new adventures, but those don't affect anyone who would play the demo. The playtester stuff wouldn't affect people. I think it was like one thing would affect them. This. It would just make it so that the text doesn't show on top of the battle windows. And I don't think that's super important. Hitting those KPIs. You've tried Noteblock LM? No, I haven't. Oh, Noteblock. I assume you mean Notebook LM then. No, I haven't. It might help. I just haven't wanted to look into it really. So Monday is the end of June. That's why I wrote June is now done. Or is it? Yeah, it is. I don't ever remember how many days are in each month. So 3 more adventures. Other than balancing, we're pretty much done with that. The new bosses, I guess, is based on first getting the new locations. So this would be the next thing I think we have to work on. Pruning the demo, need a new trailer, challenge modes, achievements, localization, marketing. Probably just looking through GitHub. So, all right, let's maybe spend some time on this today then. Because we came up with some pretty good ideas. Hey, Mr. Soundless, bit of a random question. How do you measure KPIs of devs? So I've never had to do this, and I think the context of the question matters quite a lot. Like if you're a lead looking to measure the performance of your developers, that's very different from like a how might you do this? Let's just have a conversation about this kind of thing versus my company is doing this and I disagree with it. And is this reasonable? And I'm asking a roundabout question to try to find out if it's unreasonable. So I think you need to measure output in some way. And it's not by lines of code. And it's maybe by like features completed in some way. But then how do you account for things like code quality, which is not a feature that gets completed? So in general, it's, I think like how much did you improve the product? Now that's great, but then a KPI is a measurable thing. So yeah, how do you measure this? I think you essentially have to assign scores to different things that you've done. So yeah, if you refactor code and you made it more readable, you have to find a way to assign a score to it. And I don't know of a standardized way of doing that, But I do kind of wonder if AI could sort of help for this. Like, what if you gave a prompt that was something like measure each dev's TRs in terms of like product improvement points, score from 1 to 100, and like keep these rules in mind, and then you write out whatever the rules are. I don't know what that might help. You're mentioning the exact questions I have. Yeah. So anyway, I think it's fuzzy no matter what. And I think that the broader question of if this is being enforced on you is, are you okay with that as a transaction? Because your job is essentially just a big transaction. So if you think about the pros and the cons of your job, and if a con is I have KPIs I disagree with, like it's the same equation. How do you measure this? Maybe you say like, okay, well, this is worth -2, and maybe your pro is like compensation. Maybe that's like +6 for you, and the schedule is +2, and you figure out, did this hit my threshold of, is this job worth it for me? That's, at the end of the day, that's kind of all you can ever really do with this stuff, right? Maybe you could talk to management and try to get them to fix whatever it is they're doing, but probably not. Most of these cases, you can't. Whoever got it in their head that they need these, got it in their head that they need these. And if you're high enough up, maybe you can convince them otherwise. What if you end up removing more code? So yeah, the AI would need rules for that, right? Like, oh, if they refactored the code or they made things more readable, and this is assuming your devs aren't trying to game the system. And at the end of all of that, it would just be an heuristic for, has this dev been productive? In general, honestly, here's what I really think. I think managers should have an idea of how their devs are doing. And if they can't because they're managing too many people, or their devs are working in secrecy somehow, it's like, then that points to bigger organizational problems. But how often have you, I guess you need to be a manager to know this, but how often have you had people working for you and you were like, I have no clue how they're doing? Because like I said, I think that's a sign of a problem. And you have other touch points in a traditional company of other people talking about that person, or people who work with them going in and asking them for feedback. When there's a KPI about this, it will be gamed. Yeah, and that's a general sort of law of metrics. If there's a metric, you'll focus on the metric. If there's a KPI, you're going to game it, especially when you're talking about a semi-competitive scenario like a workplace where it's like, I don't want to get fired. I want to get a promotion. And if I get a promotion, then maybe someone else can't get a promotion. They want something measurable to be able to see how good our devs do. They have this for other departments, which is why they think it's okay to have for IT. Yeah, for other departments, it might make sense. They have a very measurable thing that they do. Like, hey, we need to sell our product. So however many sales you get, that's your metric. But yeah, for dev, I think it's a little bit harder. Okay, so the problem here was that we have a bunch of locations on the map, and I'd like to be able to reuse this a bit. And the more I thought about it, the more I think it'd be kind of interesting to have like a hard mode. Did we already write about this? Yeah. Terraria just entered hard mode at one point. Did they ever use that term in the game? Terraria hard mode. Defeating the wall of flesh says the ancient spirits of light and dark have been released. This refers to the creation of hard mode biomes. Okay, so they don't ever use the word hard mode in the game, I think. Or maybe they do. I don't know if they ever expose that to the player. It doesn't matter too much. Regardless of what Terraria does, we can always do it or not do it. But I just want to see. Yeah, I don't. The setting hard mode screen on the PC version? What is that? Generation time depends on world size. If the player exits it. Okay, so they can see it, but that's pretty rare, it sounds like. Yeah. Thought about having boss or mob invasions in certain biomes that would reward you for defending territory. So I've thought about it. The mechanical aspect of this, I always find a little bit difficult to grok. Like, how would it be fun? Because in general, the way I think it would look is, let's say you saw a boss here that wasn't typically here. And let's say you had it unlocked, I guess. Oh, am I in a dev version? Yeah, I'm in a version that doesn't let me do this. Oh, which means unlocking all the locations isn't doable. You have invincibility. I might want to add that as a cheat. No, maybe not. I don't know. All right. Sorry, I got sidetracked. So let's say I'm going to load this up again, but this time we're going to have full cheats on. Let's say you load up the map and you see a boss here. You would need to know the difficulty of the boss so that you know should you be able to handle it. And if it's easy enough for you to just go to a battle and you beat it, then I don't think it's very interesting. I just don't think the game's set up to allow for that in a meaningful way. Either it's a tough fight and you need to like strategize for it, and then it's just like a regular boss. It's not like an event, or it's a not tough fight and then you just need to react to it. In which case, it's just like a customer desiring an item. You see a boss show up and you're like, oh, cool, I'm gonna go fight that boss. So I'm just not sure how it'd be fun exactly. You defend and you can add a heroic level to just pump power or one heroic skill, but yeah, lots of balancing issues there. Yeah, I think I'd still need to sort of see how this fits in overall. So Terraria just entered hard mode at one point. It didn't say it to the player, but the enemies changed, the biomes changed, and maybe something else changed, and maybe other stuff changed. NPCs. I don't know. It doesn't matter. So we could do that too, but I suppose if it's never exposed to the player, it's pretty much identical. We just say, oh, you beat the Inferno. The portal has changed. Maybe there's even a cutscene. Do I have that written down in some ideas section? Other ideas. Yeah, there could be a cutscene after beating the Inferno showing that the portal has been altered and can now go deeper into each location. Maybe all those upgrades paid off. What about a day-night cycle? And at night there's a possibility of some of those events or something? Like use adventurers that are not in battle to defend the town? Not sure if this is something that even makes sense for the game. Just throwing ideas. I think anything... So... I think anything that to do with a day-night cycle, like night would have to be different somehow. And it probably would have had to be in the game design already. So I think it'd be hard to just kind of shoehorn that in at this point. But again, one of the things I talk about repeatedly with this game is the way you're controlling the game is you're choosing which adventurers to do battle and where. So I'm going to the volcano here and I choose to go there and then they just fight. So if there was something like adventurers that aren't in battle are defending the town, what am I doing for that? Am I just like, oh, the people are attacking town. I click the close button and now I'm done. Is that how I interact with that? And now these adventurers are just going to go battle whatever's attacking the town? Because if so, what you're essentially doing is you're saying, hey, all the battles you have set up, every once in a while, we're going to make you close them. Is that fun? And then what does that do for people who are treating this as more of an idle game, who are like, well, I wasn't there to close it, so I don't get the benefit, or is there some penalty? Cutscene with General Adam, like in Red Alert, fully voice acted, live acted. All right, so what are the conclusions I had come to already? That I did have a problem with battle map size. Okay, let's write some conclusions here then. Conclusions so far. I do think the main motivator is the battle map, the size of the battle map. I don't want it to get too big. I like the idea of progressing farther into each region. And once a location is no longer accessible, we just stop you from needing those items, or needing and even seeing those items. E.g., at some point, you'll be finished with the forest, in which case you'll stop finding small blue potions and customers won't desire them, and quests will automatically have their progress filled out for those items. I think this would be easy enough to do from an implementation perspective. It's not bad. It also means that the items you see are going to get more and more interesting looking. Like you won't have the small potions, you'll have like fiery swords and rarer items. Any other things? Oh yeah, bosses appearing temporarily on the map. Yeah, I think that is a huge thing. We need to explore that some more too. Bosses should show up on the map to make it clearer when you can battle them. It would also free up locations to be used for regular fights. In this case, only 2 locations, but in the future, maybe more. So like the canyon right now is a boss location. There is no way to fight at this and not fight the ogre. Same thing with the crypt. You have to fight the dragon here. But what if the first time you fought here, you fought the ogre? Any other times you fought there, you fought some snakes or something. I don't know what. And that way we are using this location and you don't get in this state where it's like, oh, you can only fight an elite monster once and you just can't click start battle. So I like those ideas. I don't even, what questions do we have at this point? Could we reuse boss locations in some way? Do we even want to? Maybe you can choose when to fight a location's boss. Yeah, so we don't have a means of repeating boss battles if we do that. So to make it clear, it's a one-time thing. Then we use the location for normal battling, potentially allow you to auto-battle there and just fight the regular canyon enemies after beating the ogre. Maybe boss windows, just have an edit party button and no repeat. I don't think we need this written down. So how would you battle bosses again if you did that? Did I write that down? There's some blurb about how you can now go deeper in each location. You fight different bosses each location. Maybe this is from some special NPC. They give you a list of bosses. You can choose which one to start a battle at. They could give no rewards and even have auto battling on. I don't know if you need to be able to repeat boss battles then. Right now, it's really just for challenge, and no one really sees a need in doing that in their first time playing the game. Maybe we just cut that out. Maybe you just wouldn't battle them again. It's just an end of demo thing right now anyway. Hey, Campbell soup. All right, yeah. So what if this opens up a choice? This could be kind of interesting. Should we give you a choice of what location to upgrade after you've completed the Inferno? We could, i.e., we could just let you upgrade the forest or the waterways or the jungle first, and maybe that choice matters. The game is linear up until then. So what would this choice be needed for? Like, let's say I've unlocked the whole map, and now I'm like, yeah, let's upgrade the jungle. I guess I need to know what that choice does. I think that's inherent to any choice. If I can make a choice, then there needs to be input on why I'm making it and feedback on whether I've made a good one. And the whole game is based on you not being able to make kind of stupid choices. But in general, I don't know why this would be the case. Why would you be able to, after unlocking the whole map, be like, all right, I want the volcano to be level 2? We could add some reason for that, but even then, I think it'd be a pretty tenuous reason. What's the reason to upgrade the volcano first? Plus, what happens when bosses are at certain locations? Maybe, let me think about this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 locations that are not the fishing pond. And we have 2 bosses right now. But when they're temporary bosses, what we could do is after beating all of these, we could say these 7 locations get another boss there. Be kind of interesting. If you hit max level, I think that would be interesting. I should write this down at least. I don't know if we'll do that. Would be kind of interesting after beating the Inferno to have bosses appear on all 7 other locations. After beating a boss, you could farm that location. Issue here is that it's no longer linear. So there are probably some battles that are easier than others. Once you've beaten one boss, yeah, it means you should be able to beat all of the bosses. Probably implies that you would be at the max level already. Or else you could just attack the strongest. Wait, or else you would have to do the bosses in order anyway. Okay, so what I'm leaning toward from this conclusion should just keep it linear. So yeah, you beat the Inferno, maybe it loops back to here, and then to the forest. And then you upgrade the forest, and now it's a level 10 location. I think if we're going to do that, though, we actually could have this enter hard mode. We could start giving regular enemies abilities. We could have locations have some variance. So maybe you fight 3 to 5 bats in wave 1 and 4 to 6 snakes in wave 2. Maybe enemies can crit, or they can target adventurers with the lowest health. It'd be interesting. It'd basically be like, let's turn all of them into boss battles. It comes back to what I've said since pretty much day 1, which is that automation smooths out all of these wrinkles. So let's say you get to the forest and there's some special enemies here. It's just like Pokemon, right? You walk in the tall grass and you can find a Pidgey or a Weedle or something, or a Rattata. In the end, you're going to do the same attacks on pretty much all of them. You're going to use your tackle or bite or something, right? And the types are not so distinct that it's going to change how you battle them, really. So like, you're going to kill them. It doesn't. You could probably even just randomly pick your abilities and it's going to be fine. The same thing's going to happen here, where you're going to have some party where even if you have a 40% win rate, you'll probably just leave them there because it's automated. It's like, what do you care? So sure, maybe the bat beats me this time, but the next time I'm going to win. So I'll be like, all right, that's good enough. And that's kind of what makes me think that this is not actually that interesting, giving them abilities. And we'd have to make it very clear to players that it's happening. This all comes back to what I've said about automated battles in the first place. If you have even a 10% chance of winning, you could just leave the battle running for a long time and eventually win. We'd be turning almost every regular battle into a boss fight. It may not make the game more interesting. Does that mean you should lean more into probabilistic outcomes? Critical strikes, misses are higher percent, so they can tangibly provide a character with a variety of outcomes. The thing is, if you have a variety of outcomes, you want a way of influencing the positive outcomes. And in a game where you manually control characters, you could say, I'm going to go into the more difficult dungeon with harder loot or better loot, but it's going to be riskier for my character. I'm going to have to be more focused on how I'm playing. And a game with automated battling, you're basically just saying, like, my win rate dropped a bit. Am I okay with that win rate? Like, the decision making smooths out a little bit more. It might incentivize you to optimize your party slightly, but some people are just going to be like, well, the game didn't have me do that till now. I don't want to do it now. Also represents a shift in how players may think about the battles. which we probably don't want for the main game mode. There can always be another game mode that introduces custom abilities for each fight. It could be branded as hard mode. Hey, Amy. It's a question, what's truly the difference between winning and losing a battle if you can spin another one up right away? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And more importantly, that you're not even the one spinning it up. Like, imagine if I had you play, I don't know, a game of poker or something, and I'm like, here's you got free money to enter, but you're playing against the world's hardest opponents. You'd be like, I'm just gonna play forever until I win all the money, right? But it's gonna take you time to do that. In this game, you click one button, and for the rest of time, these will battle. So if it's even a 1% chance of winning, you will win. That's the law of probability. If there's a non-zero chance, given enough trials, it will happen. And 1% is not so fleetingly low that it won't happen at, a few times per day or something, depending on how long the battles take. Now, granted, yeah, that's a super low chance in terms of what people actually want to see. But it wouldn't be 1%. It'd be like 10 or 30 or something. A delay if you lose a battle. Characters go to town, go to the inn, back to the portal. So again, like, the thing I keep thinking about is it fun to do that? Like, to have a harsher penalty? Right now, we do have a penalty in the game for dying, and it's that there is a regeneration time. So all these characters are going to die pretty fast. And then the time before they can battle again is going to be 14 seconds. So they're all dead. And, oh, I got to click repeat. That's going to be less than 14. But yeah, it's like 10 seconds because I took a little bit of time. So there's a 14-second cooldown. It automatically runs. This doesn't change the equation too much. If someone's going to be like, well, I was okay with a 10% chance of winning, then they'll just leave this running for a while. If they wanted to improve it the whole time, I guess they could have. So I think my conclusion from this is I don't think we need to vary locations. I do think we probably need to vary the game itself a bit. And we could make boss battles more frequent. Because how many bosses do we have? We have the ogre, the dragon, the yeti, the slime, the plant, the phoenix, the enchantress, and the snake. So we have 8. Huh. I don't know if I realized that. We have 8 bosses. So how are we divvying these up right now? We have 1 there and 1 there. And if we repeated the whole map and made them slightly more dense, we'd use 5 of them, maybe 6. But I guess we just gained extra locations by doing what we've done. So we'd probably put 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. And then when you repeat the map, maybe we put them, we add 2 more in some of the intermediate ones. So like we put 1 there as well, and maybe there as well. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or we add other locations and they go there. Yeah, I think that's another conclusion. We have 8 bosses. We've only used 2. Adding bosses to locations, or like adding bosses that are temporarily on the map would free up extra locations, as would adding a node or 2 on the main map. So we can probably have 3 to 4 bosses on your first go through the map, then 4 to 5 bosses on the second go. And then that's it. Then the game is done. It's 2 runs through the map. I think that's a good conclusion. But I haven't explored this part of things. How do we vary the game when you're going through the map again? And I think that's a risk here. How do we vary the game when you go through the map a second time? I don't want people to feel bored at that point. I think the way to spice this up would probably have more to do with how your town evolves. So maybe there's a shift. Maybe there's a shift in the in-town stuff too. So the portal changes. It allows you to get to these locations. You can go deeper in. So maybe the town changes as well. Maybe we say you can find rare items. Maybe it's at this point that we let you find rare items from regular enemies. Maybe we add, I don't know, crafting or mining or something. Otherwise, what I'm concerned with is I don't think it's a good idea for the game to get you into the habit of doing something for like 2 or 3 hours, and then for the last hour, like drastically changing that. So, oh, hey, you got used to new mechanics and new buildings and you're growing your town. And then you hit the maximum point where you've grown all that stuff here. And then you have to repeat the whole map anyway. And it's like, oh, all right, I already kind of automated everything. You got all the perks I wanted. Like, now what? So I think we do need to introduce something for that second half. And I think it should be a half. It's not a second, like a 20% or something. It's, yeah, probably roughly half the game. But we can assume that you've learned more about the game. Assume that you learned all of the mechanics at that point. So maybe we could throw something slightly more advanced at you while still letting your brain be off. I'll write this down in some of my conclusions. When repeating the map, we don't need to vary locations by monster variety, ability variety, monster or monster ability variety. Bosses will still achieve that goal. And then what were the other conclusions we had? Oh yeah, the choice will be linear. The choice of locations can still be linear. We just don't gain much by allowing the player to choose any location on the map. And then I think that's it. Yeah. So then varying the game a little bit. And I do think the cutscene idea would be good, especially because that would have been 2 hours without a cutscene, and it can be a pretty small one too. We can show another cutscene saying that the portal is upgraded. What does this though? I guess we need some story around that. And I'll need to figure that out. Show another cutscene, short one, saying that the portal is upgraded and now you can go deeper into each location. Do you even need to upgrade the portal anymore? Maybe you don't. Maybe it is just beating a location unless you get to the next one. But then you might try skipping ahead super fast. We probably still want a monetary cost to gate progress through the portal. But if there are more bosses, then the... Oh, darn it. Okay, I didn't write this thing down about bosses, did I? So you would still have to upgrade the portal after beating the boss to get to the next location. Yeah. Okay, so what we haven't answered is the gameplay changes. Any other questions that I had here? Can we reuse this? Maybe you can choose when to fight the boss. What's the UI for whatever you design here? We pretty much already figured out a lot of that. How do we vary the game when you go through the map a second time? So I think this is the main thing we need to answer. So let's see what it would look like. You would have all of the shops. Probably upgrading them wouldn't have been a problem. We can change the pacing of the game a little bit. You'd have pretty much every building on the map, which would look like this. So that's your town so far. I think adding some other like final system here somehow. We've already used pretty much everything that fits on the screen that's still accessible from the portal area. I guess the only space we haven't really used is like this dead space, this dead space. But there's no other like major chunk of dead space we could use. We could expand up to here, maybe move the enchanter up to there, and then use this space. Because what I'm thinking is it should probably be something that involves items. You should probably have like tons of items pop out of this stuff. We had some ideas for what some of that stuff could look like. I think we talked about a mimic at some point. Walks around town dumping items on the ground. Can upgrade this somehow. Okay, so this was not a fleshed out idea. There are some other things we had talked about. Mining? I wrote about this somewhere. Do we need to do something more drastic than that though? I keep thinking that, like I said, you'll have had battles running at this point. So you've got a battle running there and you got a battle running somewhere else here. Maybe you take these four and you go into this location. And they're running on auto battle. You're winning them. You're getting a bunch of items. They're probably like flooding your town. So if I speed this up a bit. So yeah, we're getting tons of items. You would have a lot of customers. You'd have a lot of like automation and speed and everything. We'd have pretty much every single one of these perks. Probably have all of these. I would have given all my abilities into these things. Let's put some of these there. Make the mushroom attack faster. Make the mage do a little bit more. And make the warrior do a little bit more. So yeah, this is the state you'd probably be in. And then you'd be given more locations. You'd be like, oh, that's it. So yeah, I think there would be a bit of a problem with that. I do want to flood you with items at that point, though. I wonder, maybe it's something that uses any excess items you have that's not the garbage slime. But I don't want there to be two excess item usage things. It had to be some other... some other means of consumption for your items. Or some other way of feeling like you're making progress in addition to just winning battles. Because up until then, there were like content dumps. If it's going to be rare items, we should probably figure out what we're using the rare items for. Let me take a look. I know I wrote a document about this somewhere. Let's see if I can find it. Huh. I don't know where I wrote that. Yeah, I don't know where I wrote that. There are some alternative things we could do here. We could just have it be that after you beat the Inferno, it's like we just throw 5 bosses at you. And then the game would end probably after like 3 hours. And I did want to pad out the gameplay a little bit because I think people generally understand what they're doing somewhere around like the crypt. And then they're kind of just having fun and then the fun just ends. So I think padding this out a bit more, if we had another like hour of stuff, I think the pacing would still be fine. But yeah, I think we would need to add another system. I wonder what it would be. We could ratchet up some of the costs of things. Like there could be a quest that says give me, 400 demon helmets, and it actually wouldn't be too crazy. Maybe 400 is too high, but something along those lines. Hey, knowledge. Strat I went within the demo is to either grind for money or grind for potions to fill the farm. I feel that there should really be a third path to grind for. Yeah. When designing this stuff, a lot of what I thought was you have the town and you have battling. And the town is generally fueled by gold, and the battling is generally fueled by wisdom sludge. So we would need to like make a new economy that kind of only exists just to be a new economy. And that way you could be like, well, and then you need to get something out of it too. So it needs to give sludge or money. But I don't know what that would look like exactly. And maybe what it is, maybe it's like there's an item collector NPC and you give them tons and tons of items and they raise the chance for you to get rare items. And then the rare items are more than just valuable items. In fact, maybe what we reinforce in this cutscene is that you still haven't found an antidote. How is that possible? Yeah, we should write that down. That's a good idea. Where are the conclusions? This cutscene should probably mention that it's strange you haven't found an antidote yet, as a callback to how you died, and as foreshadowing to how the game will end, beating the snake boss and getting your first antidote and then selling it. Hamburger, game looks amazing. Thank you. What do you think someone who entered the coding industry from scratch just to make money should do? Like, get in, get rich, get out, just theoretically? I answered this question for you just yesterday. I'm not going to answer it again. I don't want you asking it every single day. But seriously, if yesterday's answer didn't feel like it was sufficient enough, I'm not sure what I'd be adding to it today. Anyway, this rare item thing, I think there does probably we need to start treating items as a currency. Probably need items to be a currency for something. Right now, potions are a currency for leveling, and specific items are currencies for quests for getting workers. So we'd probably need something else here. What are you even asking? Like, if you ask me something like, what's your favorite ice cream or something like that, and then I give you the answer, and then the next day you say, what's your favorite ice cream? Like, the answer wouldn't change. Are you looking for something different? I guess I don't follow what you're even hoping to hear. I answered yesterday. You asked yesterday. What would items be a currency for? So what would you, maybe this is a better question. What would you even want at this point in the game? Your town is running on autopilot. Your battles are doing just fine, even though you unlocked new locations. We'd have to make you want something else. Yeah. All right, I am going to time you out. You can have a 10-minute sit in the corner to think about why typing man please are not productive messages. Also, like I said, I was happy to answer more if you had a different question. It's so bizarre to me. All right, this should probably be in the scratch section here. This is what points to having a new system of some sort, and crafting probably makes the most sense. But again, I don't know why you're interacting with this system. Oh, maybe this is how you upgrade the portal? Maybe this is how you upgrade the portal further? Mechanically, This would be sort of like having location experience. Hey, Bazingo. This is an interesting idea, though. So you get through the first half of the game. Just write down my thoughts. You get through the map the first time. Then the portal gets some upgrade or whatever, and now you can go to new locations. However, now we say gold isn't how you upgrade those or how you get to those. You need items. So I guess what is gold for at that point in the game? Probably getting more wisdom sludge. Yes. Okay, this is all adding up. So we need something that would convert money to sludge. And it could just be an extractor upgrade. Like that's the simplest way we could do it. We could say every time you have 100 gold, it consumes the gold and produces or like fills your pond and farm, your farm and pond. Well, what is that doing? Because potions already would have done this stuff, and potions have a value. Maybe. Okay. As long as I'm just brainstorming, we're not coding any of this just yet. It could be that whatever upgraded the portal changed the extractor. It can no longer take potions and just straight up takes gold. Yeah. If I hadn't sort of planned what this game was going to look like toward the end, it'd be kind of interesting if there was some like mischievous character who came over, changed your portal, turned your extractor into a slot machine, and we'd have a more flavorful reason for this happening. Right now, I'm just trying to think of mechanically what should happen. And I think this is starting to make sense. And I think it could still be fun this way. And I think it would change your gameplay enough. So again, just to kind of sum up what we talked about, normally you click upgrade portal and it costs you money. And up until this point where you were unlocking the map, money is kind of all you were working toward. But at some point it's not valuable anymore because you've bought everything. Like we have all of the farming perks, we have all the enchanter perks, you would have gotten all of the town perks. So now there are no perks to buy anymore. Gold doesn't really have any value. So we have to either end the game or give it a value or something, because if the whole game is around selling items and the gold you get is not worth anything, then you have no reason to want to sell stuff. Oh, interesting. I'm in Seattle doing an internship now, and I'm choosing a different job compared to technical PM roles I was asking about. Not sure if I'll regret it. Can't confirm. Got advice from the streamer with the right question. Well, I hope you end up liking it. Yeah. What's the job role that you're in? I was wondering what's the current note-taking workflow. As far as I remember, OneNote, Google Docs, Obsidian, Google Docs. So Google Docs has always kind of just been a constant on the stream. That never really went away. And I've been using that, I think, pretty much since 2015. But yeah, it was generally OneNote went to Obsidian. And I don't think I really use anything else. And then my to-do list went from being in like a plain tasks thing, which is like org mode, to being in combination of Google Docs and GitHub. So yeah, in general, OneNote changed to Obsidian, and just a text file with my to-do items turned into this stuff. Are you going to use more of the guild map? When you say guild map, are you talking about this? This is the battle map in my mind, but I'm not sure if you're referring to that. Maybe destroy part of the town and you have to rebuild it. I think if we destroyed something, it would be so that we could replace it with another system. And I think this might make sense to replace. But it would, I think it would feel bad for a player to be like, oh, I upgraded a bunch in the farm and now we just deleted it. So what, all my farming perks are wasted. So yeah, I think we'd have to just, I think we'd have to replace some of the mechanics with something else. The town, oh, I see what you're saying. Maybe is the answer. So it all depends on what we need space for. So right now we can fit everything we wanted to in this amount of space. But if we want to add crafting and it's going to take up, let's say, like this large of a plot of land, then we'll probably use that. But we're not going to use the whole thing, I bet. I just wanted there to be enough space for there to be some expansion. Management consulting, strategy side, still in Seattle. Nice. Yeah. Well, I hope you like it. And hey, you can always change directions if you want to. Okay, so what do we have in general here? So you get through the map for the first time. Portal gets an upgrade. You can go to new locations. We say you need items for that. So what is gold for? Probably for getting sludge because you probably still need to level up. And I think that's pretty reasonable. I like this. It seems cohesive to me. But what's not totally cohesive yet is how are you using the items? Because they'd go into your shop by default. You still need money. Hey, Michael, it's going well. We're just planning out some of the like the end game of Skeleseller, and I have some ideas, but I haven't fully figured it out. So finished game is going to shrink that map if you don't need more of it. No, it'll probably keep it. I think so. Part of the reason why is because if you are fully zoomed out, I'd rather you see actual filled in spaces than nothing. And I haven't really seen it be a problem so far. Hey, Goose. The reasons people and mentors cited was it's easier to do what I'm doing to PM. Yep. Yeah. No, they are telling the truth there. One problem we would have if you need items or other stuff is being able to set priorities. We have the lever system already, so I guess we have a precedent for changing priorities of workers. Okay, this is looking more and more like we do this. So how would we do it? Because here's the most boring way of doing it would be you get like an item grinder. Takes any item, spits out portal dust, and the portal takes X portal dust to get to the next level. That's the boring way of doing it. I guess maybe a slightly better way of doing it would be something like quests. We could make it like quests. You need, 76 whatever fiery swords and 50 armors, whatever. And then that upgrades the portal. This would require you to farm a specific location, and the other locations wouldn't matter much, which may not be ideal. Maybe we always require items from different locations to accommodate that. Could this be additive on the gold instead of a replacement? Could what be? So the reason I think we need to sort of replace gold is up until the Inferno, gold is for perks, upgrading the portal, which is now done, hiring adventurers, which is still needed, and what else? Building stuff, which is now done, I guess. Is there anything else gold is used for? I don't think so. I guess technically upgrading the buildings too, but yeah, that's all part of building stuff. I think that's the only stuff you spend your money on. So basically, I think all of this stuff is done except for maybe this. Hiring adventurers, this is maybe the only thing you still need to spend money on. So we pretty much got to the point where you're just finished with gold. So we make something additive with gold. We need gold to still have a purpose. And I don't know what that purpose would be. I had a question regarding corn. In your video, you had the light activate. How'd you do that? The key map has, let me share this. Right here. So the key map has a bunch of LED functions, set, color, split. This is just pick a key number and pick a color for it. So like key number 34 turns white. Key number 39 turns red. So that's all it was. And I thought that was pretty nice, but I kind of mentioned this in the video. Maybe I didn't mention it in the video, but only the left half of my keyboard actually lights up properly. The right half, I didn't solder it well enough, I guess. So the whole keyboard works, but the LEDs only work on this side. So it's nice when I'm typing and I get to see pretty colors. And if I'm in caps lock, I think, no, I turned that off apparently. I used to have the whole keyboard turn like bright pink when I'm in caps lock to make it obvious. Yeah. Anyway, it's nice. I like it. So the item grinder way, I don't know if this would feel good. It would feel like every battle you're doing is working toward this thing. I think having you seek out specific items would be interesting. Maybe it could be different numbers of items from every location so far, but that also might not be interesting. I guess how do we make this interesting is the next thing. How do we make this sort of thing interesting? This sort of thing, which is acquiring items to upgrade the portal, or requiring items instead of money. Because I have to figure out how to do that with Vile. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't used Vile too much. There might be something built in for that. Vile control LEDs. Backlight and RGB lighting. Oh, you can set it on the whole keyboard, apparently. I don't know if you can do it for individual keys. Help with per key lighting on Vile. Is it just a QMK thing? It might just be a QMK thing. Open RGB. Yeah, I'm not sure. I need to look into that more. Some ideas to make it useful. Upgrading the portal requires it and items. Revealing which items you need to upgrade the portal requires gold. Funded research or something. New perks or perk levels only unlock after the Inferno. Yeah, I think there will still be some things that require gold. And what we're going to have to do is make them cost a lot. Because at that point, gold is going to otherwise be meaningless for you. But, and maybe the other question we have, is it even interesting to pivot to not selling stuff anymore? Maybe we change how you're selling the stuff. Maybe you're getting a different currency. Maybe you're still selling, but getting a different currency. We could always frame this as like customers are coming from faraway lands with diamonds or something. Coming from faraway lands through your portal. Actually, it would be kind of funny is if the enemies just started coming through, like bats were floating through your town, and they were just buying stuff. And when monsters buy your stuff, it purchases it with a different currency. I'm just gonna write this down, although I don't think this is going anywhere, but monsters could come through your portal and spend and buy your items with their own currency. This could even feed into crafting. Yeah, you get like bat wings and snake tails and whatever that have to turn them into something. I don't know. Hi again, McGruer. Welcome back. You can convert that currency to gold if you still need it. Yeah, or you'd get them both. because gold will still have a minimal use, and we could delete gold. We could just say, hey, all of your gold got converted into diamonds, and a 100,000 gold turned into 1 diamond or something. And now what we've done is we've essentially reset the economy. And what we're coming up with, as weird as it is to say this, we're basically coming up with a prestige system, but a one-time prestige system. And we don't technically need it to be a reset. But I think some amount of the game has changed is needed, so it doesn't feel stale. So you sell stuff to monsters and then kill them in battles. How cruel. Just brainstorming. I don't think it would work. But it would be kind of funny to see a bunch of monsters running around your town and like a bat buying 3 potions back from you. It would make sense how the monsters got it in the first place, right? Like, oh, they actually just bought it from a town as well. Plus, if it's the goofy theme of this game. So there are a lot of things I like about it, but I think it would be very weird. If this game makes you a good amount of money, will you make a new one or just focus on improving that game? Maybe both. Yeah, it depends on the amount of money, I guess. And I don't have a number in mind. But yeah, if the game does well, I'm going to support the game. And if the game does well enough, then yeah, I'll probably just move on to another game. What if you could sometimes see a monster in battle wearing your item? It'd be weird because the graphics don't really make sense with a lot of this. Like, would a snake need a helmet? Would a slime need a sword? But yeah, maybe you could see that. So we can go to G sharp if needed. Yeah. Let's say 700K. 700K is probably like support Skeleseller for longer. In this world, they would. Well, like I said, I like this idea of, for whatever reason, your portal is like malfunctioning and friendly monsters are coming through. And maybe they're different colors, so it's not the same ones as the ones you're killing. Like, there's a blue slime in battle, but there's a red slime in town. But God, wouldn't that be hilarious? We need walk animations for all of them. That's another thing, actually, I didn't realize. We can't just reuse the graphics. We need every single monster that's going to be in town to have walk up, left, right, and down. It'd be a decent art burden. Man. Okay, so this would require walking animations for all of the enemies. We could maybe get by just using their idle animations. But I think that would be cheap. Oh, they don't look like they're walking. Never mind, we couldn't do that. Yeah, we would need all these. Could just appear next to the displays, pay and disappear. We could go in any direction with this. We could actually have it be like a monster catching mechanic at that point. And what you're doing is you're finding which items the monsters like. So if you want the bats to join your town and just, I don't know, they're just hanging out in the forest or something, you get a whole bunch of canes or potions or something. Yeah, I like the zaniness of this, but it wouldn't really make sense. It would probably be unexpected enough to be humorous and fun / novel for players. Eventually makes Pokemon by mistake. Well, oh yeah, the other thing too is I guess perks wouldn't have affected this. This would act as a reset for any customer specific perks, e.g. max customers, customer speed. That's another part that I think would be interesting. Like, now you want to upgrade the monsters and maybe they have like lots of different parameters. So it's like how fast they move in town, how many are allowed, but then also what kinds of things they want. Maybe they only want specific items. Also, there is kind of a story route here. Maybe you're like, if we appease the monsters and they won't attack us anymore, so we're approaching it from 2 ends. If any do attack, we'll sell antidotes, but we'll also just stop them from attacking in the first place. There could be a story connection here. You're making the world less, you're like somehow appeasing the monsters by giving them items and they won't battle you anymore. You're effectively draining the world of its angry monster population. what I do if I wasn't a software developer. I've always kind of mentioned that it was either software, music, or comedy. I never really explored the comedy route too much. But I think honestly, software is a pretty good mix of almost any set of skills you might have. Game dev definitely involves music, and I mean the comedy aspect. There's some amount of writing in a game, but that's pretty minimal compared to the development and the music aspect, I guess. You loot for monsters, sell loot to monsters, step 3 profit. Well, it's like get loot from monsters, give them to the monsters that are willing to be swayed into being pacifists, and then yes, profit. You're profiting at all steps, actually. You're selling but getting a different currency. If you are getting a different currency and you're not doing anything different to get that currency, then I don't think it's that interesting. You're getting a different currency, but you're not doing anything different to get that currency, then it's probably effectively the same as just getting gold in the first place. Could eventually move to your town, yeah. What if they could join your your team? Your adventures all go away and you just have Bat on your team and Snake. Hmm. I wonder if they're ever going to farm these things now, or if they're battling too quickly. I guess we just turn this off and set this to worker speed. I guess just that I'm getting too many potions. In fact, if I just sent these two characters to the fishing pond, that would probably fix a lot of this throughput issues. There. Now they always have a reason to put potions in here. And that freed up my workers. Good job, workers. Eventually, you can have a monster adventure, late game reward. We do have the golem, excuse me, which is pretty close to a monster, but not really. And mushy is also kind of pretty close to a monster. I think it's derogatory to call them monsters. It's just a rock creature. Is Geodude a monster? I guess technically actually he was, because Pokemon is pocket monsters. All right. So yeah, what if you entered Bizarro Town? We could actually, okay, so that is something we could do. We could say that the portal took you to a totally different location. Like you went through the portal yourself and now your town is empty again. It's like you're starting over. We have a different environment. Maybe we use the snowy environment or something. Because maybe we end on the mountain and you go to the mountain town. It's another idea. Kind of interesting. Could just go to another town altogether. Maybe you start a town in the snowy region. Maybe you can even switch between them. Okay, that part just unlocked something. Because up until then, if you couldn't do this, then it would feel bad if you invested in perks that are now useless. 2 towns in Ninja Link. What, do you have to pay monsters to not battle you, but monsters you don't pay have a chance to attack your town and take your stuff taken from other monsters? You have to pay monsters to not battle you, but the ones you don't pay have a chance to attack. This is like sort of what I was kind of thinking, at least from a story perspective, is you would be somehow appeasing the monsters by giving them items, and then they pay you by, well, not that they pay you, you get rewarded by them not being aggressive anymore. It's like a do good for the world kind of thing. So, okay, if you could switch between towns, So you just have Skeleton running, and then you click some button here like swap towns, and now you can see the mountain town. I think it would actually be really interesting. You'd be building this up from scratch, and maybe there'd be different buildings that are there. It'd be nice to have a change of pace, but I guess where are the items going? And also from an implementation perspective, this is not the kind of thing we like hammer out in a week. It's probably going to take us quite a long time to do. So I don't think we can do it, but I'll still ideate on it. Be a high implementation cost to have 2 towns. The player, I guess let's just make bullet points. The player would need to switch between them. Would presumably need to switch between them. Items would have to go to one of them, not both. It wouldn't make sense from a story perspective why you abandoned your first town. Or I guess you didn't abandon it, but why you left your first town rather than expanding it when clearly you have space to do so. Maybe it's just to reach a new market. Different buildings, different mechanics, new challenges. Played a handful of idle games. Yeah, but like I said, I think the main problem is this. The implementation cost is just too high. Like I'd love to launch this game in about 3 months, and that's not the kind of feature you do. And then you're like, okay, that took a couple days. Let's move on. It's the kind of thing you like fully design, support, test, like make sure you haven't confused players by doing this. I don't see that happening. But it was an idea moving to another town altogether. So that's right. There's cons. And the pros would be it would probably feel nice to build up a new town again. We would probably need unique buildings and mechanics for this new town. Like this would be DLC territory, I think. Because I think this would be a very high cost to do all of this stuff. You'd probably want different perks. You'd probably want different buildings altogether. You probably wouldn't want selling to be the main focus. Maybe it's like, well, look, we had distinct shops in the past one, so now we just have a universal vendor. And maybe the game changes to you're setting prices and it's a supply and demand kind of game. Maybe we let people control prices and figure out supply and demand. I don't think I would want to do this. What features are the goals for the next 3 months? So some of them are semi-necessary, like localization. Some of them are just expected, like achievements. I want to make challenge modes to improve replayability. And then we have a lot of other just random little things we need to do. So like I said, we added in 3 new adventurers. We need to balance them. We need to add in more bosses. We need to figure out what we're doing the locations. That's what we're trying to figure out now. And we figured out a good amount of this. Like the general conclusions were we can repurpose the map to allow you to not have to like zoom all the way out and pan, 6 pages over to see all the locations. So fine, we can reuse these. But then what is gold for? What's new about your second pass through these things? How long does it take you? How do we make sure that the pacing feels good? And I think changing things up somehow is interesting, which is what led to, okay, what if we had a new town? That is definitely a change, but that's a very big change that we need a lot of content to support. Definitely did not wake up early this time. Hey, Sinestella. Man. We could still go deeper into some of these mechanics that we have without necessarily making them different. Like you could get more customers, more workers. Yeah. All right, well, let's add this to questions. I guess it's already pretty much there. How do we make this sort of thing interesting? Is it interesting to even pivot to not selling stuff? How does gold matter? Is it interesting to, or like, do we make items matter more than gold? Does gold still matter? If items matter, is the game still about, I should say, if gold doesn't matter, is the game still about selling stuff? I think, given that it's called Skeleseller, we can't have the first half be, yeah, you're selling stuff, and then the second half be, yeah, we're done with that now. Which is what made me think we can pursue this from the point of view of different kinds of customers. Having monsters be customers is one way of doing it, but another thing could be, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I was gonna say maybe other adventurers come in and they shop from you. What if you, instead of alternate buildings to replace existing ones? What if I, what instead of alternate buildings? Maybe being able to combine shops to make room for new buildings. Maybe a way to make NPCs prioritize certain tasks. Let me think. What if you have alternate buildings to replace existing ones? I see. Um, I'm not sure what function they'd perform yet. I guess that's my general issue here. I know I haven't really come up with too much yet for this, but having some form of new customer could be interesting. If we had, okay, wait, we had an idea from a while ago. Also, did I not write this down? Rare items. We had something about a jewelry shop. Jewel. Where did I write that? Or accessory, maybe? Maybe I wrote it as accessory. Game progression? Is it in here? Jewelry store. What's it? This document? Maybe there's a crafted item shop. Maybe that's what a jewelry shop is. You combine a sword and a blue potion and get a blue necklace. You sell that at the new shop. Maybe those items only get sold to rich customers. You have to save those customers from battle locations. Okay, all of this was great. This is exactly what I was looking for here. This document, not necessarily this idea, but we had some of these things written down. Had some ideas for this stuff in this. You're cuttlefish. I like the idea that you start with selling to the adventurers, and at some point you're actually supplying the monsters they're fighting. So you're making the game harder for yourself, all in the name of profit. You have a time period where monsters you fight come in to get items. Yeah, and I think the couple of things kind of, well, I guess I wrote all this stuff down, right? Monsters come through your portal. All right, so pros, let's write the pros and cons for this stuff. And one of the pros could be we could say that the monsters have scared away the customers so that the customer perks essentially reset and that they're not very valuable. Could feed into crafting. It's require walking animations. I like the zaniness of this. Could act as a reset for this. Yeah. Be a story connection here. Walk animations wouldn't really make sense. What else? What the next upgrade, combine the weapon and armor shop. Then you can place a more expensive shop like the crafting shop you just mentioned. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't think we probably need to get rid of the shops that exist. But we could. I just don't know if we need to. Could always get rid of stores, shops that exist, or combine them. Maybe all shops become Uber shops that sell anything. Do you watch MMA? No, I don't. I don't watch any real sports. Should I miss it? But I remember a few days ago mentioning other automation idler type games. If you glean any useful feedback from the reception of those games or specific mechanics, I try my best not to look at other games. And actually, I think Skeleseller ended up in this like cute, weird spot as a result of it. Like items are very much the focus. You see them moving all over. You can move them. You sell them, or you use them inside the extractor, or you feed them to the garbage time, or use them for quests. Like it's a cool idea. I like how it turned out. I like that the battles are showing it that they're actually functional. I think if I'd looked at other games, I probably would have just thought, how do I improve that game? And I want to try to not fall into that trap. Milligan upgrade combines the two, free up a spot later in the game. Yeah. I got you. I'm writing that we could do those things. I don't know if I'm going to explore those ideas just yet. I wanted to read what I had written down here for some of this stuff. So I wrote problem need more systems. This is kind of the problem we even had here. People, like, when did I write this? This is all very poignant. It's February 14th, 2025. I decided this morning we should hold off on Next Fest. So I'm taking time to look into game design. Here are the biggest problems. We need more systems. So by the way, this is what led to us coming up with farming and fishing. We didn't have those before this. Want more adventure customization? Again, we did these things. We added more perks. We had skill point changes. Yeah. And then it drastically improved the game. So yeah, let's read through some of the thoughts from 4 months ago and probably use some of these leftover ones that we had. So people seem to like the demo, but they do want more content. Just adding more locations won't feel different enough. Wow. It's like I predicted the future. Good job, Past Adam. We should consider something like cooking, crafting, farming, fishing. Yeah, we technically added cooking, farming, fishing. We didn't add crafting. When pondering new systems, consider production versus consumption versus transformation. Items probably need to factor into power progression in some way. We did that. Yeah, I think we need more systems so that items can have a purpose for those systems as well. Makes me think that making mana was a mistake and it should be based on items somehow. Could be a central machine that composts items into a meta currency. My goodness. I spent like 20 hours coming up with these ideas. We were just in document mode for like 3 streams. Water in the map contains treasure chests that your adventurers can fish up. So I kind of like this idea. Still want to explore the concept of rare items and selling those at a premium. So something like, yeah, there's an item collector NPC. You give them items and they tell you how to find better items. So functionally, we say like plus X% chance of rare items, possibly scoped to location Y. And then you get the rare items and you sell those at a, like a, I don't know, a shop. I'll just say a shop. It doesn't matter what kind of shop. A rare item shop. I don't know. And then you get diamonds from those. Some currency that matters. That's not gold. And now things start costing diamonds. Upgrading the portal, special endgame perks. Maybe hiring the final adventurers. And then gold changes to being for getting wisdom sludge probably. It would also be used for any remaining perks you haven't gotten. Although maybe 1 diamond could buy any old perk. AP5552, Darkstorm. Writing down new content stuff. Could you also go over issues labeled the content expansion? Yeah, I saw that you had labeled those, and I think they were all ones that we've had from before. I don't know if they'll address some of these things. The museum potentially, but that's about it. We had this written down too. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm leaning towards something like that. I'm trying to think of how we make this fit and how we make it fun. So let's say we just did all these changes. There's an item collector, and let's say the player understands how it works. You give them items, and cool, that makes sense. So now, is this fun? So normally you fight in a location, and you get a bunch of essentially trash that's worth money. So you get your canes and your bows and your demon helmets and whatever. But now we say, you know what? None of that stuff matters. You want the real good stuff. You want the rare items. You want all the things in this sprite sheet that we didn't use so far. Items here. We have a bunch of unused graphics. And any of these could make sense in a shop, right? You could even have this eyeball be an item that you're selling for some reason. Probably wouldn't, but we certainly have a bunch of weapons we haven't used. We haven't used like anything in this row, I think. We have a bunch of bows we haven't used. We have a bunch of accessories, belts, and rings, and anything. So all that stuff could now be for sale. But they're rare items. So most of the time you're going to find, 10 of these sucky things and then like one of the poison sword. And you're like, oh my God, finally a poison sword. I needed that to get another diamond. I guess that's another potential question we have. Is it interesting to collapse all rare items down to one premium currency? Maybe the rare items themselves are the currency. Okay, now I'm speaking my own language because I wrote this down. Yeah, I think that's an interesting thought here. Because if they get converted to a currency, then that means, let's say you had poison sword as a rare item and it's worth 3 diamonds, and then later on you get some other thing, I don't know, frost armor, and it's worth 4 diamonds. It's like, well, you really have no reason to fetch this anymore. Yeah, sure, it's worth a third more than the first one is, but if you're already getting poison swords at a decent rate, then why would you bother switching to something else? Whereas if you had some quest that said, get me 2 poison swords and 1 frost armor, well, now you can't accomplish this just by fetching swords. You need the armor. And actually, it could be that the tavern gets repurposed for that. The tavern could get repurposed. Or at least its mechanic could get reused. Like the tavern changes to, not only will I give you a worker, but I'll also upgrade your portal. What about giving some items weight? Those items would take longer to move, and then workers can upgrade to better carry items with things like carts. Let me think about this. So again, the main thing we're trying to figure out is, if you've already sort of beaten the map once and we said, okay, you got to beat it another time, how do we make that interesting? So I think item weights could, it could be something that adds interest, but I don't think it alone would be the idea we'd have to do. And I guess functionally the idea is like, let's create a vacuum that you then need to spend money to fill. In fact, item stacking could have just been that to begin with. When a worker's carrying 2 items at once, they slow down. We probably should have done that. I'll write that down as an idea. Actually, you know what? I'll write this over here. Maybe workers holding multiple items at once should slow down anyway. E.g., if carrying 2 items at once, minus 20% speed. If 3 items, minus 30%. Something like that. Okay, I definitely like the idea of these rare items, and I think I like the idea of you selling them, and I think I like the idea of premium currency. No, wait, no, I don't like the idea of premium currency. Never mind, I don't like that. But then, so there is no rare item shop. So what are you doing with the extra rare items? Yeah, I don't like the idea of rare items getting flattened into a premium currency, since it means you only really need one kind of rare item, or that we have a progression curve that is practically exponential. If we can't flatten them into a premium currency, though, then we still need a use for extra rares that you find. Hey, Zex. Heroes can find or collect creatures from various locations. You could have a zoo that attracts visitors. Rare creatures, more visitors, more gold income. Oh, thanks for the sub. Yeah, we haven't explored the monster collection mechanic, although I think that is another system we could do. Could add monster husbandry as a mechanic. Is that the term I would use for this? The care, cultivation, and breeding of crops and animals. Yeah, sure. And Mr. Salas, thank you too for subbing. Welcome, both of you. I think I want to take a quick break and get back to this. So I think I think this is a promising angle that we would need to talk about a little bit more. So what is the use for extra rares that you find? Is finding rare items the most fun mechanic for this? I think it is. It's fun finding rare items and people wanted them. Yeah. Lets you gamble X items to get a random one of your choosing. I guess if gold stops mattering, then the garbage slime would probably need to turn into something that does that, or at least money would need to turn into something like that. If gold doesn't matter, if the game's still about selling stuff, what is the garbage slime's purpose at that point? All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna take a quick break. Is it jump time? It's not hearing me. What is it? What does it think I'm saying? All right, is it jump time? It's jump time. Okay, chat, type join in Twitch chat if you want to play and have fun. I'll be back in a little bit. Hello again. Close the game. Didn't mean to. That jump at the last second. What else was that? Okay. So let me finish reading through this. Let's at least collect up the items from months ago. Water map contains treasure chest. Chest contains item. Pretty much no matter how this works, it's going to be an alternative to battling. Their problem solving is that people want more content. Whatever we had is just to make people engage with it in a fun way. It's like making a new game on top of the current one. Whatever systems we had, we needed to eventually turn into money somehow, even if it's indirectly. Quests give you power, which increases your efficiency and actually take money. You have too many items, you max out your throughput, and then you don't have anything to do with the extras. So whatever we add first should take items and do something. Again, this is all past stuff I wrote that we know what it turned into. It turned into farming. So like I was circling this idea for a little while and then eventually put this all together. Have you ever accidentally asked? Yes, I have. Z-Wubs or Z-Dubs? Got their name. They got me to say it. Slime could request certain creatures so you can put them in the zoo. To eat? When you say the slime could request them, are you saying they eat those creatures? Because that would be kind of funny if you got monsters through the portal and your slime just immediately ate them, or they got cooked by the chef slime. You any skeletons you beat just pop out and immediately go into the slime. Anyway, let's keep looking through this. I mean, combine disparate items. We need to limit the demand on those items somehow. I think it would make them less interesting. Sort of like customer desire system. A customer wants a blue potion, but unless enough of them want that. Reason why crafted items make sense in other games that most have a function on their own. Yeah, that's where our jewelry shop is. You combine a sword and a blue potion, sell it at the shop. Maybe those items only get sold to rich customers, and you have to save those customers from battle locations. You see the forest has a rich customer there, so you fight there to get the customer to your town, and they buy your necklaces. I mean, this is this is like the closest to an idea that I think is now probably helpful from our old document. This hit on a lot of good things. You could fish up chests that were locked and you had to craft keys using any overflow items, but the keys and chests were randomized. You fish up a red chest, so you need a red key. Now you need to craft until you get the red one. Always get an output, but that output's not always useful. Now we do just have a failure rate. Okay, so probably the most interesting ideas so far. Rare items, crafting, monster collection. What does combining different items even make you do? Makes you store an item knowing that you may have a use for it later. Makes you seek out different items based on what you have. I can't get crafting using disparate items to work with the game. There just aren't enough functions for an item. Items just don't have enough functions for this to make sense. Now let me switch to talking about farming for a while. Create a quest. I don't know how this made it here. Ninja can increase the dodge chance for party members too. Lines of extra purchasing power. Could be you have to complete some sort of raid. They may cost money to progress deeper. Oh, didn't we have farming was originally like form a battle yourself and then win that battle? I think I ended up talking about this here. Yeah, and like persistent battles. Rare items can be displayed in shops as a sort of advertisement. Shiny items. It spits this out. This is the mimic. Oh man. Adventure customization. What else did we talk about here? Random. Probably need to design more systems before figuring out how to reformulate perks and skills. We can make these things be connected to the battle system. Man, this document was 76 pages long. I probably should stop reading through it. Yeah. Let's just think about what we can use from here. Let's say we just pivoted entirely to monster collection. What would this even look like? So you can catch or otherwise persuade monsters to join your town. If we don't want walk animations for them, then they have to stand still the whole time. You would probably feed them, and I guess what you feed them could either be crops, fish, or sludge. Well, or money. Gold, crops, fish, or sludge. Feeding gold doesn't really make sense. So maybe you buy pet food, monster food. Monster food is just people. You're just throwing customers into the belly of the beast. Maybe you buy monster food. And then what do the monsters do? So that I don't know. But it could be like lay eggs for you to sell. So monsters can never be mammals. Rare ones give you buffs. So effectively you're saying they'd affect your battles. The thing is, for them to affect your battles and actually be necessary would be that they're affecting your battles quite a lot. I guess the other way they could indirectly affect battles, it could be the way to improve sludge production somehow. Maybe you're just fattening up monsters to feed to the garbage slide. So that you can, or maybe the chef slime. Yeah, actually that'd be pretty interesting. You fatten up monsters to feed to the chef slime so that you can get even more wisdom sludge, which is what would let you hit the higher levels. Okay, I think that's interesting. What would the farm and pond be for at that point? I guess just more sludge, but at a lower rate. Okay, this is kind of funny. You're you hit like level 8 or something and you hit a brick wall, and let's say level 7 cost you 1,000 sludge and level 8 costs you 1,500 or something, and level 9 all of a sudden is like 50,000. You're like, what? And at that point we say, oh yeah, if you get monsters, you feed a fully grown monster to the chef slime, and that's worth 20,000 sludge. We'd make the numbers such that it wouldn't totally invalidate the farm and everything. In fact, how much the farm has 25 plots, and the what are the amounts? 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 divided by 5 times 25. So you're getting that much food per full harvest on average. And a full harvest is happening every, that's harder to compute, 40% faster than the longest one. Crop data. The longest one takes on average 52 seconds. So 0.6 times 52 is about 30 seconds. Yeah, 31 seconds. So 120 divided by, let's just say 30 is, yeah, 4 food per second for the farm. Oh, but then it gets multiplied by a couple of other things, right? The chef slime can crit. Where is that? Fishing. It's a fishing perk. For 120% bonus 30% of the time. So 30 times 1.2 or 0.3 times 1.2 is a 36% bonus. So this times the 4 food per second is actually this per second for the farm with perks. And then the fishing pond gives you some amount too. So anyway, monsters would probably need to give you something like 50 per second. So it's like a 10x improvement. It doesn't totally invalidate what you're doing on the farm. Yeah. Farm gives you roughly 5.5 food per second when fully upgraded and with crits. So monsters would probably have to give like 50 per second. All right, so how do you, if we did this, how would you get the monsters? How would you raise them? And then how would you feed them to the chef slime? You're cooking monsters. Would it be the first like monster cooking game? Monster cooking game. Monster chef, hungry monster. This is more like the monster is the thing that's cooking, as opposed to you are cooking monsters. Game where you can cook monsters on PlayStation. Battle Chef Brigade? Dungeon Munchies? What is this? Puzzle-based cooking in a hand-drawn fantasy adventure. Cook your way into the brigade. Where's the cooking? Oh, here. Okay, yeah. I see. But they're cooking like monster parts. I was thinking you just feed the whole monster live to the chef slime. And then what was the other game that people said? Dungeon Munchies? What's this one about? Hunt down monsters to cook and eat them. You've been revived in a massive underground complex, and you must leave this bizarre facility. Aided by the undead necro chef Simmer, you must stay safe, get fed, find a way to get out. Well, that's something. I don't see cooking going on. Oh, there we go. Okay, well, this would be a route that we could go. That's certainly a picture. It doesn't matter if other games did this, by the way. I think this would be different. Yeah, so I think it'd be, you could maybe just drag them like items. That'd be kind of interesting. The monster itself is just an item. I think I prefer having the monsters produce something you could use to speed up the farmer pond. Then when they're fully grown up, they simply go back to their habitats. As to how to catch them, the eggs could be a rare item. Oh, that's true. Could get a rare item in the form, or you get their eggs as rare items. Okay, I think the humor value though is pretty high on having like a little monster pen over here. And when actually you could just click them, I guess. Could be like crops where you just click them and they go to the chef's line. Yeah, so you have a little pen of monsters over here. And that would get its own set of perks. We could call it the monster farm. As for what Kevin said about them fueling the farm or the pond, part of the issue we have is if you're still finding potions, the value is so high that even if you harvest all of this, so like let's say I take all of these things here and I turn this off, and then you know what, let's just have everything grow there. Okay, so that gets rid of everything on the farm. So now if I drag just this one potion here, it already fills up the entire farm. So I think if the monster parts had to do something, it just wouldn't be more meaningful than using potions in the first place. So I think it'd have to be that you're growing the monsters. About the auto harvest issue for farm, maybe this could be some big machine you build for that instead of a perk. It mentions a skeleton farmer, but I like the machine more. What are you talking about? What is the auto harvest issue? Popping in for a few moments. Can I follow the conversation? Somehow you're hearing Adam talk is quite soothing. Hope you're doing well, Leap Your Girl. Solving puzzles over there. Getting into nanograms eventually. The superior puzzle. Yeah, I like this idea. Then how would you raise them? This could be that you... Well, I don't know. This could be a bunch of different ways. I guess maybe a better question is, what do we need to solve from a game design perspective? E.g., is it have another gold sink? In which case you could buy monster feed. Just throwing it out there out of context. Wait, what? What I mean is you said it mentions a skeleton farmer. What is it? Make the machine more. Downloaded the Nonogram app. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, my favorite one was Nonogram's Katana, except for this is it just still baffles me that this game even exists. So it is a Nonograms game, and it's even got a like play in your browser thing. But wait a second, why does this have a whole bunch of points? Huh, I don't know. Anyway, this is just a Nonograms game, but on Android specifically, not on any other version, they have a guild that you can like build up. It's this whole town building mechanic. And this is just, it's nuts. I was like, who is this game for? And a bunch of people play. But yeah, you get eggs and then you make stuff with the eggs, and then those things can affect the puzzles you're solving, and you're supposed to play this game over the course of like many months. So there's basically no way for you to speed it up to the point where you're like, oh, in a weekend I made a bunch of progress. It just doesn't work that way. Even if you play for hours every day, you still can only make so much progress. So yeah, it's just a crazy game. So if you have a bunch of time. Oh, an issue. Okay, I thought you were talking about something we were mentioning here. Oh, yeah, I'd prefer to stay on topic for what we're talking about for this stuff. Yeah. It's called Nonogram Katana. First one was 7.5 minutes. Yeah, but you have the Android version, right? So you can actually build the guild. Because I think the tablet you bought was a Lenovo tablet, right? I don't know what they use on that. It might be Windows actually, but only the Android version for some reason has the guild part of it. But yeah, I played that for a long time, and then I'm like, man, I am spending too much time on this. So we're switching to Pokemon. Only if in Pokemon at the end of Ash's journey beating Brock at the gym, he fed Pikachu to a slime to get to get money or something. Then yes, we're making Pokemon. All right, so yeah, what do we need to solve for this? I guess gold is an abundant resource at that point. So we could have the monster farmer sell you feed. And then yeah, I don't know, maybe there's some like automatic way of doing this. Does Power World have feeding monsters to stuff? Oh man, does it? I've never played. Going to look in the guild thing? Okay, yeah. Yeah, like I said, it cost me quite a lot of time. And at some point I realized, okay, this isn't really fun. I'm like logging in every day to do puzzles. The puzzles were fun, but I felt like I had to do them so that I could get all the items from that day or whatever. Monster feed. There are other ways we can do this too. We don't need it to be a totally disconnected system. I am picturing something over here. You get a monster pen. They just kind of, I don't know. I guess it looked weird if they just sort of slid around. Maybe we have some animations for them. Because a lot of the monsters, it would just work. Like if a slime is just chilling there. And then you just click it and it goes over to the chef slime. I think we have the same question to answer with this though, which is it fun? Also, at some point, if this is just better than all the other things, are you even fishing anymore? I guess we could have more upgrades for this stuff. Is this fun? How often would you be getting a monster egg, managing the farm, etc.? Maybe you have to pet the monsters every so often. I'll have to think about this more. All right, well, we did come up with a bunch of conclusions. Sorry, there was a very loud sound, but I think it was a bird. Can feed crops or fish to the monsters, and monsters give a lot of sludge. Yeah, I think that would at least make it so that it doesn't feel like your farm and your fishing pond are worthless. It could be that the crops and fish go to the monster farm automatically. Or that the chef slime cooks monster food and says, "This is my calling." And then cooks the monsters for you still. I don't know. This is like a grim joke. So I find it funny. So yeah, is that fun? You find some monster eggs every once in a while. I guess your characters could even bring the monster eggs to the farm. Your workers could bring the eggs to an incubator. Actually, that could be kind of interesting. You could build the incubators. You could upgrade them with perks. Yeah. So maybe you have like 4 incubators and you can get them to be fast enough. Maybe they could like hatch multiple monsters. Hatch multiple monsters. Upgrade how many monsters your farm can hold. And all this is just to be able to get you wisdom sludge to level up your adventurers more. But I feel like this might be the only system you're interacting with at that point. Growing a monster could have a food value instead of time. Can you explain that a little bit more? Food value instead of time. Yeah, I think I need an expansion on that. This sounds like it's fun to me, and it's in the right vein of Skeleseller. But actually, what if you sold the monsters? What if we didn't do this as a sludge thing? You sold the monster. You have a monster shop. So you raise monsters to sell. That makes the most sense, right? So you raise your monsters over here, and then you get your like monster shop over here. So now there's some like transportation that needs to be done. Well, I guess you'd have the quick move menu at that point. I like that idea too. I guess I guess they're like pets at that point. They don't need to be monsters at all. I keep saying monsters, but they could just be some like specific graphic we make just for this. Could just be pets, and they could be a specific graphic just for this. They wouldn't even need that many sprites. Could just be an immature pet, a mature pet, and some left/right walk animations, like the fish with only 3 frames, but obviously not swimming. Still need to get potions into the extractor to grow crops and fish to feed to the monsters. Otherwise, they won't grow. So you basically need to interact with the previous systems. Oh, yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. Entering exotic pet trade now. Yeah, pretty much. I think this is cool. I think this is the key part that makes me feel this a little bit more, like that it resonates with me more. So you get and I know I've been saying monsters this whole time, but you get some egg that grows into something that you then sell. And there's like an exotic pet shop or something up here. So now how would that feel? You've got your battles running. You're looking at how much wisdom sludge does it take, and you're like, oh man, it's gonna be 12,000. I've only got 4,000. Although at that point, I guess you're not getting wisdom sludge for this. What are customers paying for the monsters? Yeah, I don't know. Breeding snakes, and we use them to extract the antidote. Yeah, something like that could work. Read that we're breeding snakes, giving them hats. Get the antidote from the snakes. There are a lot of ideas here, and I think in general, I talked about this process before. I think when there's any sort of brainstorming, there should be two phases. There should be a fully creative phase with very little editing, and then there should be an editing phase with like a more critical eye. So we come up with a lot of ideas. It's hard to say which ones are best right now because I think I'm in the wrong phase for this. And we can do these other conclusions so far. Like we can add bosses, we can change how that works. But yeah, this was the key point. Wait, no, not that. I didn't write it down here, did I? The main motivator, progression, choice seems to be linear. Once the long accessible, stop you're needing that. This is fine. Yeah, so this is the conclusion. We do need to vary the gameplay a bit so that it doesn't feel stale. And this is still an outstanding point. So if all we added was this concept of monster farming, you'd see a new sign here. You'd click it, you'd build it. It'd be like the first thing you do because it'd be the only thing you can really do. And then you'd wonder what the system is about. You'd see this thing about hatching eggs. You'd get where the upgrades are. You'd have another sign that looks kind of like this. You got 5 upgrades, maybe a bit more, 6 upgrades, 7, but probably not a crazy amount like 20 or something. And then you'd start spending your money on that. And I guess it wouldn't really feel like you have much of a choice because you would have unlocked practically everything else already anyway. And there are only so many other perks we can add for existing buildings. We could probably come up with another 1 to 2 for each of them. But again, would that be interesting? I am filled with doubts. Every time you beat a boss up until that point, you're given at least 2 choices. So if we just go back to the main game now, and then save and load. So yeah, here's what we start with right off the bat. You can build the town hall, you can build the garbage slime. So once you beat the forest and then the canyon, so now you can unlock the farm, the warehouse, the armor shop, and the tavern. So you get +4 buildings. When you beat the dragon, you can get the fishing pond, the enchanter, and the weapon shop. So 3 buildings. So if we gave you 2 more, I feel like that would be enough systems. So like monster farming could be one of them. And then maybe we also do something with rare items. pet raising. I don't think this alone is sufficient, but I think it's fun. I think we also need something with rare items. Maybe it's just a rare goods vendor. And when you find rare items, you can put them in the vendor just like you can put monsters in the vendor. Then again, I kind of like the idea of... Well, I guess either feeding monsters to the slime or selling them in a shop. I think either one's fine with me. But yeah, rare items I think would be interesting, and it would let us use a lot of these other graphics that we've made. And we have quite a lot of them. So I think that's what we need to figure out. I think it should be monster raising and something with rare items. I don't fully know what these look like yet. But the monster raising thing is here. Hey, Puello. Maybe you can also choose if you want to keep the pets or monsters in the town, just wandering around, or to sell it. So to have something cosmetic, more lively town, kind of prestige ranks. Yeah, I think if we end up with proper walk animations, that it could look good. Because what I was talking about earlier is to just alleviate some of the art burden, we could do what we did with fish. So the way that fish work is they only have 3 frames of animation, and it's always just facing right. So if we want, we make the fish face left by just flipping it, but we don't need new frames of animation. And it looks convincing enough, even when they're swimming upward, that they'd still be facing right. So if monsters are kept to a pen over here, it could work. But I think if they're walking straight up and it doesn't look like they're walking anymore, then it wouldn't work as well. Now, with that said, we could just add walk animations for all the monsters, or whatever pets we have. And it depends on what kind of pets. I think palette swaps would be fun for this sort of thing too. And then maybe the monster collection itself is just kind of a fun thing. We should almost... Where did I write that thing about the... Just be pets, and there could be a specific sprite. If we go this route, we should allow for many palette swaps of the pets, just for visual interest. Always feels good to be getting hundreds or thousands of gold. And being like, oh, a new currency, and I only get 1. Yeah, I just need to think of what a reset looks like in that case. And I think this was the closest to what we had here. There's a crafted item shop. You combine some things, you get a new item to sell. They get sold to rich customers. You might have to get the rich customers. It's not a cohesive idea yet, though. All right, I guess let's just make a section really fast. Rare items. Yeah. Yeah, let's think about this for a little bit. So pros, by adding rare items at all, we'll use more graphics that Quickie Joe already drew. And I like the idea. I think rare items also scratch the randomness slash uniqueness itch a bit. So I think the biggest question is, what are the rare items for? And it could be selling. Well, what are your only goals in the game? Your goals in the game at the point where you unlock this. Gold kind of stopped mattering. So it's unlocking new locations and getting more powerful. The way you get more powerful right now is only through leveling up. And leveling up just takes its own currency. So if we want to reuse the only existing system for more power, we would just give you Wisdom Sludge. Okay, I think the conclusion is that gold can't stop mattering. Yeah. Gold can stop mattering. We need for there to be a gold sink in the game. Or else you wouldn't want gold. And any you had would be worthless. But gold kind of stopped mattering. This is a different problem. This is more because we ran out of things to offer than anything else. It's like if we had more perks, more adventurers, etc., you would still want it. Kind of cool if we could name them. Yeah, I would like to do that eventually. These are the things that I just keep thinking like, okay, let's say we already had the conclusions from this. We'd probably spend a week or two making them. And at that point I'd be like, okay, now we have all of the bricks that we need to be able to make content. So we balance our adventures, we make our new bosses, we add our rare items, we add in the monster farming stuff. And then we're like, okay, we got 5 hours of gameplay. Now we need to make it as good as possible. I don't know how long that span is going to be. So like you are here and release is somewhere in September-ish. So we still need content and gameplay length. We'll work on that for a month or so. And then we have time to work on everything else. Things like achievements, localization, polish, bug fixes. So yeah, how long will that phase last for? There are some alternatives we could do. We could, if we wanted, we could sort of rush the end of the game a bit. So you have the Inferno. At this point, most people take about 2 hours getting here. After that, what we could say is like, now there's a boss on every location in the map. Like go beat the 7 bosses and you'll beat the game. And maybe we expect that portion to take you another hour or so. That would be our lazy way of doing this. Maybe the currency is like a ticket to a repeatable location or something. It's hard. Maybe scales with rewards. Any repeatable location, I think with tickets, we need to change how auto battling works. Or say like you ran out of tickets, so you stop battling. Which I guess is sort of kind of how fishing works. If you run out of fish, you stop getting anything from the battle. I also need to think about that. I know for sure I have to revisit this. I have to come back at a different time or something, or just let my brain simmer on these ideas. And I'll eventually come up with something that I'm like, okay, that's pretty solid. Let's check that out. In fact, how much did fishing and farming change after we implemented them? I don't think they drastically changed. But adventure progression did change even after we implemented the design changes. In fact, it's changed a couple of times. We changed how you get skill points, how you even get the skills, whether the skills are random or not random. There were a lot of those things that changed. My point being that whatever we do with rare items, I'd love to somehow not have that iteration time because we can't really afford it. You could have some sort of display for rare items, either in town or in the UI. Also as a mechanic for completionists. Yeah, this is like the museum idea that we've talked about from before, which is like you have a museum that you want to collect one of each rare item. Especially if there are very rare ones, that could lead to frustrations. There's no bad luck protection. I think each location getting its own boss as the end seems cool, I thought. Let me think about that. I should probably write that down. If we don't vary the gameplay, then we would just spew a bunch of bosses into the remaining locations at the end. and expect the player to take an hour or so beating them. I think it's pretty easy to implement, but I don't know how fun it is. I also don't like that it's a drastic changing of the game. It's like as soon as you beat this location, the deep forest, now it's like the game turned into a boss rush mode. Because the Inferno is pretty hard because of the level jump. And then each boss would presumably be pretty hard because it's the only content we have remaining. So yeah, I don't know. Did this always block mouse clicks? I think we're getting rid of this anyway. Yeah, but anyway, I love the idea of rare items. I think it'd be cool to see that, oh, I got 3 potions and like, wow, I've never seen that thing before. What is that? And it's glowing. But I still don't know what it would do. So yeah, I think those are the main things we need to figure out. Ideas are in this document: monster collection and rare items. Okay. Spend some time thinking about new systems and reusing locations. Yeah, I remember the overarching goal here is figure out how players will have fun for long enough to justify buying the game. And I think the main game has to be longer than 2 hours. I don't want to just pad for no reason. I don't want to be like, okay, let's make it 20 hours and we'll just stretch everything we have really thin. I think we have enough other ideas that'll still be fun for at least an hour. And then if we added in these new things too, it could be for another hour on top of that, or maybe even 2. Because I wanted to try to target 5 hours for the main game. And then when you replay it, we could expand on some of these systems in different ways. Set the time scale to half. You know, why is this game so slow? No reason. And then I don't know. Yeah, the other problem, man. I'm so torn here. I never designed the challenge modes completely. So even if all of this were done and players had 5 hours of stuff to work through, they'd probably be like, okay, now what? I want to play the game some more. Then we need to go design and code challenge modes and hope that they actually work for players. All right. Well, I think the main goal is, yeah, figure out how players will feel like they got their money's worth. This is add content and add replayability. This stuff all goes here. This goes here. Also, pruning the demo sort of helps to make it seem like the main game is longer. If the demo lasts for, let's say, 20 minutes and the game lasts for 3 hours, then there's 2 hours and 40 minutes that you haven't seen already. Battle automation games are meant to be kind of a slow burn, and it's intrinsically hard to get these spikes of fun and discrete content when the rest of the mechanics are purposely set and forget. Yeah. Yeah, and that a lot of idle games just sort of blatantly reuse the content. They're like, oh, well, you hit a wall in our math formula. So now we're going to reset you on that math formula and make your curve a little bit faster. And that's it. And it's a very easy way to run things. You just let the player make all the same decisions they already made, but now they're going slightly faster. So they feel like, oh, I've made progress. But it's very cheap. Hey, Chaos. Something other than figuring out technical issues. This is a real meat. I think all of it is meat. Not all of it, but I think design development, both. I think they're needed. I think even things like playtesting, although that's not something I stream typically because I can't experience it for the first time again. So I like that we came up with some ideas. I am definitely feeling some sort of time pressure here. But like I said, the stats for the game have been pretty healthy lately. We just look at this today. There have been 45 people who have clicked. Actually, what do you click to even do this? I'm not totally sure. Okay, that's not good. Can anyone hit this URL? Because that doesn't look good. Okay, no, it works from an incognito page for me. That's good. Yeah, what was I going to look at? Darn it, I lost my train of thought because I did that thing. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so there's a... Okay, yeah, I think this is the button you press. I think if you click download, I think this adds it to your account. And I think that increments this number. But it's not until you actually play the game that it increments this number. So yeah, 45 people clicked the download button, I guess. Most of those people will never play the game. And you can kind of see that here. Twice as many people have clicked download than have activated the game and actually launched it. But the median playtime went up again, which I find surprising. It's now an hour and 28 minutes. All right, I think that's it for today's stream. It's noon. I'm going to get lunch. I'm not planning on streaming in the afternoon. I just wanted to get some work done. What do the wish lists look like? Wish lists are at 2,500-ish. Yeah. But 220 of those or something, 230 are in the last 2 days. So we've gotten 10% of the wish list in the last 2 days. And the reason why is because as of last week, I finally started marketing. I wasn't really doing anything before that. Big shame on my part. But that's part of the reason I'm taking the afternoon off of the stream. I'm going to just focus on marketing stuff, reach out to another, like, hopefully 10 people, and start getting some things assigned to playtesters. So, yeah. All right, let's go find someone to raid. Hey, Manakis. Just in time to see me end the stream. Who is online? You know what? I'm gonna raid Kit. He's pretty early into his stream. And Kit's a great streamer. Longtime friend of the channel. All right, thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. I will be back online tomorrow for a full day of streaming. We'll probably do some design and probably some development. So a good mix of stuff. So yeah, thanks. Bye, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.